Well, welcome back to Doc's project. One more set of projects that I'm going to be doing. I've been in the mood lately to build some signs, just some wooden signs, and I've been playing around with that a little bit. So I wanted to show you kind of how we go about doing that. There's several methods. Hopefully you'll pick up on one of the methods that I show you and decide to try to make a few of your own. Before I continue on though, I wanted to give a shout out to my good friends over at makeawoodsign.com. Eric Roten is also got Vicky and Ryan. The three of them put together a pretty good program as far as any kind of sign making, using all kinds of routers, different kinds of bits, different kinds of templates. They've really helped me out. I'm just beginning, and they've been out for several years. Started with with Dave, I believe it was the grandpa. Unfortunately, he passed away a while back, but now Eric and Ryan pretty much take care of all of it. They've got a lot of videos showing a lot of tips on what you can do with routers, different kinds of signs that you can make. They're great people. Take a look it up for makeawoodsign.com. I'll put a little picture up here kind of showing what their site looks like. But give them a shout. You can also buy from them a lot of the different kinds of bits at better prices than you can get going to Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those kind of places. They're very competitive, but they got a lot of neat things that you can buy from them. So take a look, tell them Doc sent you, and they'll probably charge the same price as they probably charge anyone else. But I picked up this base plate, which is plexiglass. It comes designed to fit your router. And again, I'll put something in the description of where you can find these at a pretty decent price. And I'm going to try to get a couple more of these, one for each one of my routers, because it makes it real nice to be able to clearly see what you're doing. Of course, you want to wear your safety glasses and ear protection as you're doing it. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing a lot more of these instructional videos showing you all kinds of stuff off the routers, about how to do different kinds of woodworking, different projects that I do. But at least please like it. If you like it, doesn't cost you anything, just a button push right below there. Hit the like. The reason that helps me out in this my YouTube channel is the more likes I get, then YouTube starts to realize that it's a liked video and they start directing people to see it. Here's one that's finished. One of my first ones. I think I could have done a better job with some of the script writing, but again, I'm practicing, so give me a break. This one's got a few horsemen on here, cowboys, and it says, "Whiskey for my men, beer for my horses." Let's see if I can find somebody to make a song with those lyrics. And this is one of them that I was real fond of. I did this one for my wife for her bunco group. "Warning, the girls have been drinking again." Anyway, let's get down to this. Notice I can pull that back and it makes it like a nice little hinge. I want to grab my carbon paper. So I'll go through this. I'll speed the film up a little bit so you're not totally bored, and then we'll see how it goes. You can kind of see it there. First, I've got what they call a trim router. Got the nice bevel, or the plex plate on here, which helps me to be able to see what I'm doing. Gives me good control with these handles. This is a real cheap one. I believe I got this at Harbor Freight, but you can get a decent one for 80 to 100 bucks. You can get a real nice one. I recommend spend a little bit more and try to get one that has battery on it. They also have these larger ones. This is called a plunge router. As I flip that lid, see how it comes out? And then you can plunge it down to the depth that you want. It's got a depth gauge here so you can stop it from where you want it to go. Because sometimes you need to go to a certain depth and no more. But you want to definitely make sure that you're wearing some eye protection, which I will be doing. These get pretty loud from time to time. You don't want to lose your hearing. Wait, make sure you wear hearing protection. And then keep your lungs clean too. And that'll help to keep you from inhaling a lot of that wood dust, which some types of wood can be pretty toxic. You always want to make sure that you have your board on something that's not going to cause it to slide around. Otherwise you need to clamp it down on a bench or something. But I'll just get a little brush nearby so you can cruise through that. Take a good close look to see if I missed any of the small lines. Let's see. When it's really going to look good is when I spray some of that black primer on there and then sand it off. So inside those lines will stay the black and then the rest will clear up. So let's get started with working this. I'm going to bring the camera up closer so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put on my safety goggles, my dust mask and all that, so that I'm nice and safe. And let's get on to it. So as exciting as it is, I'm sure for you to watch me do this whole thing, it could speed the film up, but why waste the film? So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up off camera. Okay, so I finished with that, the first cut. I changed the bit out. One thing I wanted to point out, this bit gets very hot when I'm done with it, so I've already changed it out, but I use this to carefully go in and grab the shank, not the tip. I don't want to damage it. But I'll just kind of give it a little wiggle and pull it on out and set it over here because it'll burn my fingers. And then I tighten this down. So I've got the next one in, adjusted, ready to go. I'm ready to do this. Now, a quick mention, when you get a chance to go visit that makeawoodsign.com for my friends Eric and Ryan, you're going to see that they probably go through and do this in one pass with one bit. I'm not quite to that level yet. So I'd recommend for you, do a lot of practice. Get some old scrap pieces of wood from somewhere that you're going to otherwise throw away likely. Use both sides of it and just draw some kind of a diagram or do like I did here and put something down and just practice with different bits. Get a feel for it. Watch some of his videos on how he does things and you'll learn quite a bit. They're really very down-to-earth people and they've got some good stuff that they show you. They got a lot of videos. Very helpful. And that's a place where you can buy a lot of these bits, this base plate, for various routers that you've got, and how to use certain kinds of paints. They just got all kinds of tips and hints for you. Here we go. And again, I'll start off on the video and then I'll turn the video off, come back when I'm done, so I don't have to waste a lot of film. You don't have to fall asleep watching the whole process. Coming along nicely. I didn't make any major boo-boos. I'd recommend when you first get started that you use larger letters. You can get different size letters. You can get them 1/2 inch tall, 3/4 inch, inch and a half, depending on the size of the sign that you're making. But the larger ones are a lot easier to not make mistakes on, I guess you'd say. For example, some of these A's, the tiny little A, you got that little tiny dot in the middle that's supposed to be left behind to be raised so that you have the legs. In some cases, it tends to drop off that little tiny piece. Still looks like an A, but you could do better. But these small ones like this, the reason I do this is because I need the practice. I need to practice on getting some of these smaller ones done. And if I screw them up, it's only $2 worth of wood and about a 1/2 hour of time. So I toss it out and try it again. But I think this one works out pretty good. So what I'll do now is I give it a good brushing. So it's just about ready for the tape and paper. Then remember, this is a tongue and groove. I'm going to cut off the tongue right at that edge, and I'm going to cut off, get rid of that groove, and then I'm going to be putting a little border pattern. So I'll show you how that goes. So hang tight. I'm going to saw this off. Okay, there's several ways we can do a border of some kind. We can leave it square if we want to, where it would just look like that. Or if you want it to look rusty, you can take a grinder such as this and just grind different spots around it, make it look kind of rough. You can also have what they call a bevel router that you can put in a pattern that's even. So put one here, one here, one here, one here. That'll be all painted black along with the inside, sanded down where only the black remains on the outside. And that looks like a nice little scallop look. So for this one, I'm just going to use this because, well, let's face it, because what I've got handy. So give me just a minute. I'm going to set this up. I'll just be holding it down and I'm going to just kind of run some grooves across here, both ends and the other side, and then we'll get ready to mask and paint. Well, that's something. You can have a lot of fun with it, kind of do it however way you want to do it, whatever kind of an edge you like. But anyway, let's get ready to mask this off and get ready for the painting. Okay, so you can see I've got it all taped up, and you want to try to find a place where you can spray paint without getting overspray on your wife's car or anything like that. So I've got a piece of cardboard here that I'm getting ready to throw away. I'll just spray that, and then we're going to let that dry for a little while and then sand it off, and you'll see how it boldly comes forward. By the way, you want to make sure that you're using a flat color. In this case, it's flat black primer. Do not use gloss or semi-gloss or eggshell or anything like that, because it's just going to gum up your sandpaper and make it really tough later on. So you want to use something like this. So I want to make sure I get all the scalloped edges. Now it's up to you. If you want, you can sand down the edges to make the edges come back to be just the color of the wood and just leave the scallop parts, but that's up to you. After all, it's yours. You do what you want, right? Okay, now let's get this inside. Now I like to come at it a couple of different directions because each letter consists of a little trough, so to speak, and you don't want to get just one side of it, because then you go to another side and go, oh, why didn't it get in there? And you don't really want to put it on too thick because, as I said, you have to sand this off after it dries. Yeah, let's look from all angles now. You can see where I missed some from this side, because you don't want to have to come back and do it, but at the same time you don't want to have to spend too much time sanding either. So now I'll let that dry out. Okay, so I've took the tape off. As you can see, might have a little bit of a glare there. I'm going to get ready to get the sanding done on it. Still got another piece of tape here. Make sure I get all the pieces of tape off. That'll gum up my sander. So I'm going to go ahead and use the sander, and you definitely have to make sure that you're wearing some smelling protection. As uncomfortable as that might be, but all this dust is going to get kicked up. As I mentioned before, some different kinds of woods have toxic dust in them. You don't want to breathe it. Here we go. So, there you have it. Almost finished. I think there's something I got to do with that eyeball right there. I'm going to do a little touch up on that, but pretty much that's it. You can see how a nice contrast came out on that. And then the next step would be just to spray the polyurethane on there, a couple coats, and that'll be ready to go. So thanks for watching. Please, if you haven't done so yet, please at least like. The more likes I get, the more likely YouTube will actually guide people to my channel that might be looking for this kind of stuff. So it doesn't cost you anything. And subscribe too, it'd be wonderful. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you coming to Doc's Projects. And don't forget to go visit makeawoodsign.com with my friends Eric and Ryan. And tell them Doc said hi.